Hey everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to be going through the challenge solution walkthrough video for our first weekly lab over on BugForge. This was a really good lab, I think. It's rated as a medium difficulty. It involves bypassing a web application firewall to get a cross-site scripting exploit that we can then use to facilitate an account takeover of another user. So let's jump in. Once you are on the site, once you've started up the lab and you get onto the site, there's two roles that you can register for. So the first role that I'm going to register is as a recruiter. So if you just go here to need to hire, I'm just going to sign up as a recruiter here, tester1 at test.com, tester1. I'm not very creative, so usually just go with tester1 and tester2. Uh, I'll create that account. It's going to ask for my company, and I'm just cats. Uh, we're just cats, and we're in Pet City. I'm not gonna do a website for right now. It's not really needed. Okay, so now I've got my recruiter account set up. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to sign up for just a regular job seeker account, and this is going to be tester 2 and a password. And then this is going to ask me to fill out kind of my bio. Um, I'm adorable. In real life, I'm not. I have a face for radio and a voice for print, so that's why you don't see me. Say I have 5 years of experience and I am good at hunting, climbing, and purring. Okay, so now I've created both of my profiles. I have my recruiter profile and my job seeker profile. So what I want to do now is I'm going to come over here to uh, back to my recruiter profile. And in my recruiter profile, I have the ability to post a job. And I'm going to post a job for a therapy kitten. And I'm just going to say, be adorable, which is right up Tester 2's alley because Tester 2's qualification is that he's adorable. We'll say 50K treats per year. And you have to be good at hunting, climbing, and purring. Okay, so now I've posted the job. And if I come back over here to our job seeker role and browse the jobs, I can see that the therapy kitten role is listed now. So I can go in, I can open that up, and I can apply to it and just say, I'm adorable with a bunch of exclamation points so that they get the point. And I'll submit my application. So you get the little toast pop up, application submitted successfully. Well, now if I come back over here to my recruiter profile, remember recruiter is blue, job seeker is pink, and I go into view applicants, you can see we've got an application from Jeremy Thompson and we have an application from Tester 2. Well, since I want to show you what happens here, I'm going to go with Tester 2 and I'll accept the application. And then if I come back over here, you see this pop up that says your application status has been updated to accepted. Now, if I come back over here to my proxy, let's find it and look at this request, this put request right here to API applications 5 status, where the status says accepted. Well, if I send that to my replay and I send it again and come back over here quick, you can see that that pop-up comes up again. So that's a way that we're able to send something to a user, right? So what we can do is we can see if we can get a um, any kind of a cross-site scripting payload to work in here. I'll just do the basic image source equals X on error equals alert document domain and send. Well, we've been blocked by a WAF. Okay. So one interesting thing, and I'll link the talk in the description, but Shubs from Asset Note gave a really interesting talk at Nahamcon last year, I believe in 2024, where he talked about um, WAF bypass techniques, and one of the techniques he mentioned was um, making your payload large enough so that the WAF just lets it through, right? Because if it takes the time to review the entire payload, then performance is going to start degrading, and it's going to impact the user experience and so on. So a lot of WAFs, and they have different lengths at which they stop looking at things, but common ones like Akamai and AWS and so on um, have lengths between usually 8 kilobytes. Some are all the way up to 128, I think. But Shubs has put together a really good table to kind of explain what web application firewalls, big air quotes, break at what payload size. So since I'm in Kaido, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send. Um, I'm already in replay, so let me do this. There's a workflow in Kaido that has ported Shubs's burp plugin. It's called No WAF Please, and it's ported it over to Kaido. So I'm going to highlight the entire request. I'll come up here to convert and scroll down until I see no WAF, please, 8 kilobytes. So what this is going to do is this is just going to add an extra parameter in my um, put request body that just has a bunch of junk padding. So you can see it's just adding a bunch of A's, 8 kilobytes worth of A's. And what that's doing is it's making the request, excuse me, the request body long enough so that the WAF doesn't inspect our payload. So if we send this again, now we get application updated and we get our cross-site scripting payload through. Okay, so now what can we do with that? It doesn't really help us um, to just be able to get a cross-site scripting payload through. if all we're doing is popping something up. So if you look, there's a token here. Um, it's set as a cookie, but if you look, it's got the HTTP only flag set to true. So what if we go back to our proxy and we change this to document.cookie? So we still get the pop-up, but we don't get a cookie, right? The token isn't there, and that's because it's set to HTTP only true. So we're not going to be able to get that with JavaScript. So we need to look around the application a little bit more to kind of figure out what might also be vulnerable or something that we could potentially exploit. So I'm here on my job seeker profile. And if I come over to profile and scroll down, you'll see that there's a change password functionality. And I'm just going to change that to password one from password. So I'm introducing complexity, so I should be secure now. And if I update my patent, no, I don't want to save it. Firefox, thank you. And if I come over here, let me find that request. So here's the put request to API profile password. And you can see that there's a couple of things. There's no CSRF protection on this, and we don't need to know the current password to update the password. So just by sending this request here with the new password parameter, we were able to update our password. So that's probably something that we can use uh, to chain with the cross-site scripting to be able to exploit our user. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you a couple of different ways that I solved this. Um, well, actually, so I'll show you the first way first. Um, if you come over here to the debugger and you look in public/JS and look at app.js. So this is the client-side code that the application is using. And if you scroll down, you see this API helper functions. There's an API request method, this function here, API request. And essentially what it's doing is it's made under the hood, it's making a fetch request to the URL. It includes some options. It's sending the auth headers, and we can use that in our cross-site scripting payload to change the victim user's email or excuse me password. So this is the payload that I used. Let me come back over here and I'll paste that in and then I'll explain what it's doing. Okay, so on error, so it's doing using the same payload, the image source equals X on error, API request, API profile password method is put body. And this is what I want to explain. This A to B method right here. If you go and look at the MDN web docs, you see that the A to B method Decodes a string of data which has been encoded using base 64. So what I've done is I've encoded the payload that I want to send because I was having a lot of this was giving me a lot of heartache the first time I did it because quotes weren't in the right place. It was complaining about my payload. It wasn't working. So it took a bit of fiddling around to figure out getting this right. So um, basically, what I did was I just used the kind of the opposite function. So B to A, and what I said was this is what I want to encode. So new password, password 2. Okay. And that's how I got the base 64 encoded string for the payload that or the body that I wanted to send in this request. So that's where that came from. Now, if I go back over here and I send this, so we see application is updated. I'm going to log out and I'll try logging back in and see if that worked. Tester 2, password 2. And it worked. So I've now successfully been able to update the tester 2's password. So if I look, come back over here to my uh, recruiter profile, I still have this application from Jeremy. So I'm going to go ahead and accept that. And I'm going to come back over to my proxy, find the find that payload. Okay, here it is. Put API application 6 status, send that. And then all I'm going to do is just copy this entire body. I want to send the exact same payload to Jeremy. And after we've done this and we've confirmed that it works, I'll show you the other way and probably the intended way to send this payload. It's a little bit tricky because quotes get um, a little bit funny. You have to escape different quotes, and it gave me a lot of heartburn. I'll just put it that way. So anyway, we've updated Jeremy's application status. So what we can do now is we can try to come over here and I'll try logging out of my applicant and try logging into Jeremy. And I'm logged in as Jeremy and we get the flag. So I thought this was a really fun lab. It taught some basic web application firewall bypass. You have to find a couple of different vulnerabilities to chain together. Um, I really had a good time doing this. Um, but now that I've done this, let me go back and I'll show you the other payload um, that we can use. And actually, let me come over here and change this to password 3. so we can um, confirm that it works. Actually, I don't need that. Got ahead of myself. So this is the other one. So what was causing me errors when I first tried this was actually the first payload that I tried. And what was causing me errors were these quotes right here. Um, it didn't like me sending this whole fetch value unquoted. It complained about it. It didn't like it. So if we copy that and come back over here to uh, this request, paste this in. So now we're changing the password from password 2 to password 3. Let's resend that. Let's log out and see if that worked. Password 3, and that worked. So that's two different ways, two different payloads that you can use to solve this lab. But like I said, I really enjoyed this lab. I thought it was a good introduction to a uh, couple of these concepts, and I thought it was really well done. So I had a good time, and well done to Alex on creating this. But that's it for this video, and I'll see you next time.